Alright, welcome to the second video, and first of all, let me congratulate you for even making it this far, for expecting to get something out of part 2, so you came over here. See, this is how powerful this whole expectation process is. The reason you're here right now is because you expect to find out more information about how this expectation is our greatest power. So we were talking about, in video 1, how the law of attraction is really misunderstood by many people. In fact, I don't really believe that it's just misunderstood, it's just understood. They didn't go into enough detail. So I'm going to help you understand how it works. The law of attraction. Well, what really happens in the law of attraction is you move towards something. Because, and I'm going to show that to you in a minute, we'll come back to the law of attraction. Remember we said expectation is your greatest power? Well, here's what I found out. Whenever we anticipate a future outcome, so understand that the law of attraction always has to do with a future outcome. So whenever you're anticipating a future outcome, something that you desire in the future, or something you don't desire in the future, that future outcome, the expectation of that future outcome produces an emotion. Now, the emotion that expectation of that future outcome produces is going to be determined by whether you believe that expectation, that outcome is going to be favorable or unfavorable. It doesn't matter whether it's going to be favorable or unfavorable. It only matters whether you believe it is. If you believe it's going to be unfavorable, that creates an emotion that's very different than the emotion that's created by an outcome that you expect to be favorable. Here's what these two emotions look like. When you are expecting a favorable outcome, you have one emotion. When you're expecting an unfavorable, when you're expecting an unfavorable outcome, you have a different emotion. So here's what it looks like. When you're expecting a favorable outcome, it creates anticipation. Anticipation, and we might even call it joyful anticipation, because it's favorable. You're looking forward to it. So you've got joy. What are you so happy about? I'm happy about tomorrow. It's Christmas. I'm happy about next week. It's my birthday. I'm happy about my vacation. I'm going on it 2 weeks from now. So this expectation of a future outcome, of a favorable future outcome, produces joyful anticipation. But the emotion that's produced by an unfavorable outcome is what we call the anxious. It creates anxiety. It creates anxious apprehension. Apprehension. Hension. All right, so it creates anxious apprehension. What do I mean, anxious apprehension? Anxiety. A lot of people think, well, my fear is stopping me. Your fear is not stopping you. Fear is not your problem, even when you think fear is your problem. Fear is not your problem when you're afraid of something. You know what your problem is? The expectation of an unfavorable outcome. So that expectation of an unfavorable outcome creates anxiety in you. That anxiety stops you. The only thing anxiety can do is stop you. That's why we call it the anxious apprehension, because anxiety produces apprehension, anticipation produces action. So if you understand that, anxiety produces apprehension, anticipation produces action. It always works that way. When you're excited about something, you move towards it. You're taking actions towards it. And that action is what produces your outcome. Taking that action will cause people to notice you who you didn't even know were looking at you, and those people will offer you things you didn't even ask for because you took an action based upon your future, the expectation of a future outcome that in your mind was favorable. And there's no way to even measure all of the good stuff that comes to you by expecting a favorable outcome in the future. There's no way to measure all of the good things, all of the stars that aligned, as people say, or the ducks that get in a row as a direct result of having an anticipation of a favorable future outcome. So what you've got to focus on if you want to change your life is not developing more willpower to make yourself do things you don't want to do. What you've got to do is you've got to learn how to expect a favorable outcome so you desire to do the things that you want to deserve to have. You desire to do the things that are going to produce for you the outcome that you desire. So, joyful anticipation produces action. Anxious apprehension produces, anxiety produces apprehension. Now, what do I mean by that? Anxiety stops us. The thing that stops you, people say, well, it's my fear that stops me. It's not your fear, it's your anxiety, and there's a difference. Fear, see, a lot of people don't realize that fear can be good. The reason I don't take a nap in the middle of the interstate is because I'm afraid. Okay? Somebody might run over me. Okay? The reason fear keeps us from jumping out of an airplane without a parachute. Okay? Fear is the realization that there is danger. Fear warns us of danger. If I'm out on the golf course and I walk up on the green and there's an alligator there, I live in Florida, there's an alligator there, well, my fear of that alligator keeps me from turning my back to that alligator. See, so fear can serve you. Anxiety never serves you. Never. Anxiety never serves you. Now, here's what I mean when I say it stops you. Here's why anxiety stops you. And here's what anxiety is. Anxiety is when you are wasting present energy on a future outcome that's that you're expecting, that's unfavorable. So you're wasting present energy on a future outcome, so you don't have any energy to take present action. You're taking all your present action energy, you're wasting it on a future outcome. And what's happening when you're wasting this energy is sometimes your hands shake. Sometimes you have great beads of perspiration on your brow. Sometimes your heart palpitates simply because you're expecting an outcome that you don't desire. So this power of expectation doesn't just have, quote, spiritual consequences. The expectation of a future outcome has physical consequences, not just spiritual consequences. It actually takes a physical toll on your body. People say stress. Well, what is stress? Most of the stress, well, there are different kinds of stress. There's chemical nutritional stress. There's physical stress. Chemical nutritional stress is like when a person drinks too much coffee and their heart palpitates, or maybe they even because they overdose on Red Bull or whatever, and they have heart palpitations. That's a chemical nutritional stress. Physical stress would be if you fell off of a building and landed. It would create so much physical stress on your body that it would kill you. Okay, but there's also mental emotional stress. Mental emotional stress is all anxiety, and most of the stress that people experience in their life is from mental and emotional stress. By the way, experiencing mental and emotional stress can create those other outcomes in your life. So, I really want you to wrap your mind around this whole idea of anxiety is wasting present energy on a future outcome that's unfavorable in your mind. So, it's like we play movies in our minds all the time. We play movies in our minds.
Sorry. It's creating there's a little bit of a shadow in the back left corner, and I don't know if that's going to be a problem because you were talking about shadows earlier.
It won't be a problem.
Okay.
Easy, because we just multiple keys.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem.
Is that okay that I...
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
We got control over all this stuff.
Cool.
So I want you to understand, I want you to wrap your mind around this idea that anxiety is really nothing more than a waste of energy. This is why when people have anxiety about a future outcome, they either sit down or they go lay down. They can't do it. It's impossible for you to work when you have anxiety. Why? Because your body is wasting its energy on something that's out there, so it has no energy to do on things use for things that are right here. Now, this is why this has something to do with the law of attraction. Because in reality, the law of attraction, I want you to see what I just did. The law of attraction is the law of action. When you have a joyful anticipation of an outcome you desire, then it gives you the ability to take action on that outcome, toward that outcome. Whereas when you have anxiety, that apprehends you, or the anxious apprehension of an unfavorable outcome, you don't have any ability to take action. And actions produce reactions. And there's a law of physics. Isn't it amazing how the law of attraction even integrates with the law of physics? There's a law of physics that says for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to decide that right now you are going to go to video number 3 and you are going to learn, I'm going to teach you how to replace the anxious apprehension of the outcome you don't desire with the joyful anticipation of the outcome you do desire. If this has been helpful to you, and I believe that it has, I know when I discovered this, it was so helpful for me. If this has been helpful for you, what I want you to do is I want you to do 3 things. Number 1, like this video. Number 2, leave a comment below. Number 3, subscribe to my YouTube channel so every time I put up a new YouTube video, you get it. You get notifications so you can know, hey, Myron put out a new video. And I promise you, all the videos I put out, they'll be at least as good as this one is. So like it, comment, subscribe, and then click the link in the description below. That'll take you over to my website where you can see part 3. We're going to teach you how to use all this stuff. So I taught you what it is, why it works. Now I want you to go over to my website where I'm going to show you exactly how to use this principle. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. I'll see you on the next video.